Hey guys, Trevor Holt here. I'm with my mate Sammy. Sam, how are you today?
Always well, Trevor. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for joining us again today. We're just moving forward from our conversation that we had last week about our Impact TS project that we're working on. Just a little bit of a refresher. We're just trying to come up with a business plan to combat the cost of living crisis. Was one of the things we wanted to start work on now. We've done a bit of a brainstorm on some points that we're gonna focus on, and we come up with 4 points. 2 you're going to work on, and 2 I was going to work on. So before we get going, we'll just do this. We'll come up with a bit of a summary from last time, a paragraph. I'll just read that there. So what our action plan is combat the cost of living crisis by diversifying earning activities and initiate change to generate more income, reduce spending, increase education, certification and accreditations, and develop inner self. So have you got some thoughts on that, Sammy? Or
yeah, look, I've had quite a few thoughts and a few good conversations over the last week or two. Of a few strategies, and I think you and I have spoken about quite a few. You know, obviously, for a lot of people, reducing spending or focusing on that money mindset at the moment is crucial, but also understanding yourself and what you're doing to affect or benefit your cost of living situation, because everyone's in a different scenario. Everyone's, different. So there's not one specific thought process. It all sort of delves into maybe like a flow chart of, not waiting till you're in a crisis stage, but obviously growing from where you are now and understanding where you are so that you can go a little bit further as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, isn't it? Because we're all starting at different points in our lives, or we're all at different circumstances and this and that. But it's just about, like you say, understanding yourself and where you're at now, and then identifying some steps to improve your circumstance over time.
Correct.
And you're talking about reducing spending, and obviously there's some strategies around that, and developing your mindset. They were the two points that you were looking at. I was looking at generating more income, and one of the points I wanted to make with that is there's probably, dependent on whether you're in a crisis mode or whether things are sailing smoothly for you, I suppose, so depending on what you want. But I think the key message that I'd probably want to put in the program is, if things are going well, is to get comfortable with where your life is at the moment. So I sort of try and communicate that it's good to be uncomfortable, I suppose, or not being complacent with where you are now, because you never know, that circumstance could change, that company could go bankrupt, or your income could be disrupted. And trying to work on strategies to make your life resilience, financial independence resilient, regardless, so you can combat some of this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. So one of the just off subject, but one of the books that was really resonated with me as a young entrepreneur when I was a teenager starting out in life was a book. I don't know if you read it, Sammy. Who Moved My Cheese? Have you seen that book? It's a little kid's book.
I've heard it. I've heard of it. I don't think I've read it, not as an adult, so I don't really remember the book. So I'd love for you to explain it.
Yeah, it's quite interesting actually, because it's just got two little men about the same size as mice, and then it says it's got 2 mice, and they live in a maze, and the humans find cheese, and they get comfortable with that cheese, and they build a house nearby the cheese so they don't have to walk so far to get it, and then they start sleeping in because they didn't have to get up so early to find the cheese, so they start sleeping in, and they get really comfortable with this cheese. They're sleeping in and this and that, and the mice are just running around the maze or whatever, finding cheese or whatever, and just living their life. But the 2 little men, they built their house really close, and then one day someone moved their cheese, and the humans humans just, started jumping up there. It's not fair. It's not fair. Someone moved my cheese. I worked hard for this cheese. I built this house and rah, 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 and kept dwelling on the fact, but the mice just went and looked for new cheese. So it's quite a good little story. And it's something that resonated with me. And I feel that that's part of this project in essence. We're trying to change that mindset about, change, I suppose, and dealing with it,
Well, it's perspective. And that book, from what you've just told me, is giving two different perspectives about the same situation. I think that's where we can really sort of take this project, is helping people see a different perspective from that scenario. As we said, everyone's going through a different situation, but because you're in your bubble or in your box or your life, and there's so many things happening, we often forget to look outside the box or from a different perspective on how we can actually better ourselves or get out of that situation. So that's what I'm really looking forward to, being able to give different perspectives on how people might be able to move forward or with this action plan. So I think that's a great story. So
no, well, that's good. So so we are moving forward. We're generating a few good topics to move on with. So I suppose the next step is to try and start documenting some of these strategies and start coming up with the actual layout of that, so we can start working on that now over the coming weeks or whatever, and try and get that going. But have you got any final things, just in summary?
No, look, I can quickly touch on some of the things. I mean, for anyone listening, obviously, my two sections were reducing spending, right? You've got to look at your essentials and non-essentials. It's a basic thing to look at. Whether you're in a struggle mode or not, you've got to be prepared. And that, what you were saying before, Trevor, was, being in that crisis mode or being comfortable or being in a situation where it's not fire time, it's not in that impact zone. So, you obviously don't want to get to that. So it's about being prepared and readying yourself when you're in a good spot, rather than waiting till you're in crisis. And I think that's what a lot of people really wait for, because they're comfortable. They're like, oh, I'm good, I'm comfortable. But then all of a sudden bills hit and then they're uncomfortable or something. So, looking at your essentials and non-essentials, with your inner development, you've got to look inside yourself and who you are and where you are now, and where you want to go, and develop that, but focusing on you and your money mindset, learning about it, basically, learning about yourself so that you can grow and get yourself out of a situation or go further. So for me, it's focusing on you. It's always you first. That's what it's all about. And a lot of people are so quick and easy to give advice to other people, but they're not looking at themselves and helping themselves out first. So, read about it. You got to train your body and your mind, and just that self-care and communication with money or just life in general.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think what you think is, and it's similar to like mine. We're generating more income and increase your education, certification, or accreditation. So similar to generating more income is being proactive. I think that's the word you're trying to chase for in your thing. It's just trying to, like you say, not be comfortable and not be complacent, but being proactive. And the best time to set yourself up for better positions is when you're doing well. So when you're doing well and you got a bit of stability and security in your life, then you can invest in your shares or invest in different projects and to try and combat some of that stuff. So,
well, that's right. I guess it's about that being proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah. I think
that's so important.
Yeah. And the other thing was for me is because obviously generating more income, if you're in crisis mode, then you're off the Centrelink or you're off to the churches and charities or whatever, and having a list of supports there in that crisis space. But obviously, if you're just working and you're sort of in a rut, then you go through things like the last time was ask your boss for more money or get a promotion or whatever. And that's why I feel that that third point, increased education, certification, that can create yourself in a more presentable light to be able to demand more money in your endeavors when you're asking or change jobs to something that's more payable. So
Yeah.
and that sort of comes from yours as well. You know, you're in a development part of that. So becoming the best version of you creates yourself more employable, or creates more opportunities in that, you know, in that space.
Yeah, I agree. But what I think also is when people get into that crisis mode, is it creates a lot of stress, and all they focus on is the problems. So for us, it's really about trying to help people not focus on the problems and not stress out, because that's where a lot of things just get worse. People focus on they're stressed about their situation, or they focus on the problems and they can't get out of it. So now it's our job to create that action plan, whether you're at breaking point, or, you know, a little bit above that, or comfortable, or, you know, doing really well. There's always a way to get better. There's always a way to learn. You know, and it's just about understanding where you are.
Yeah, and understanding yourself, like you said. Yeah, and focusing on yourself, your self-care, and what you can do to make yourself better. Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it like that this week, and I suppose moving forward, we're going to try and document it a little bit, and try and get a bit of presentation going, I suppose, on how it's going to present this sort of action plan, and how we're going to go about it, and utilize it, I suppose, in a generic sort of way, and then probably even talk about customized circumstances, just some hypotheticals that we can run through, I suppose, of different people's in different stages of their lives or whatever, or maybe even just go through the action plans based on, you know, our personal experiences or whatever, and our current spot, just to give people a bit of an idea on how it would work. But thanks for joining us anyway today, Sammy, and I feel that we're making some good inroads in this project, and we'll publish this on YouTube as per normal, and put a few links up and put a few words for everyone that's following this project, and hopefully we can get some more resolve in the coming weeks. Thanks very much for your time, mate.
Thanks, Trev.
See you, mate. Bye.